Hey everyone, it's Damien from DC Coaching, and today we're going to be doing a CARS morning routine. This routine is meant to be done, could be done early morning, end of day, but something light just to get the body moving. I like to do it in the morning personally, just because it allows me to set myself up for a successful day and to allow my body to warm up after a bunch of, just sleep, rest, no movement at all. So, with that being said, let's get started. Alrighty, let's get started. So to do how I go about this is I always start from the top down. So as you can see here, I'm starting with my neck car. So it'll start by first pulling your neck into flexion, then rotating to one shoulder, pulling the head back, right, tipping the bucket over here, rolling the head all the way around. Then it'd be chin back to shoulder and then sweeping, pulling it, right, and go back. So you have to do both ways. You kind of go one direction and then reverse. Which direction you start doesn't matter, let's say. Just mattering that you're taking yourself through a full range of motion on this. Again, with the morning routine, it's something to be done that's light and just kind of a warm-up for the day. So 20-30% irradiation through the whole body. Here, I always go to the T-spine car in a standing position. So with this one, you're going to want to widen out your stance, feet kind of pointing out, really trying to root yourself to the ground as you go through. And then we're taking our spine through a full range of motion, always remembering to, when finding tension, to breathe into your belly. And then, so to do this one, how you kind of start, as you can see here, I'm going to reset. I pull myself into flexion as much as I can from my upper back, rotate to one side, keeping that turning my shoulders back into alignment, starting facing towards the camera, to the sides to crunch. Then I extend, keeping the extension, I rotate and to the one side, and then pull myself back to the side crunch, and then into flexion. The next piece of the puzzle I always go to is my scapular cars. So working on both protraction, retraction, keeping tension in the arms, no bending in those guys. And then for position, I always kind of do almost a 30-degree angle from my body. That just is a little bit nicer in line with your scapula, because as your scapula wraps around your rib cage. From there, I always go right into my shoulder car. So again, sweeping up, palm working when it's behind us into internal rotation, and then as we go back, rotating up, and then as the arm is in front of us or kind of on that front side, palm is always facing up, trying to turn out as much external, hit the top end block, and roll back. With this one, we'll have to balance out both sides, and I'll show both sides here for a couple of extra reps, so you can really try to get the motion again. So again, it's front body, rotate hand up, external rotation, and then when it's behind us, we're trying to internally rotate at the shoulder. From there, I always go to my elbows, kind of work all top down like I said. With this one, biggest things you're going to be noting is your elbow pits must always be trying to point forward here. You can see me double checking and kind of looking at it, visually looking and seeing what's happening is really important. It helps me understand what's going on and what I'm feeling. But when you curl up, you're curling, then you pronate your hands, pointing them away from you. Bicep curl kind of in the reverse, and then go through. Biggest piece and area opportunity generally for people is on that pronation, pressing down. Your elbow pits are going to want to rotate in. You don't let that happen. Now onto the wrists. I always do this just standing. You can do this one seated in this position, same thing. I put my hand on my forearm just to try and feel out whether or not my actual radius or ulna or my forearm is rotating, as we don't want that. You should have your palm facing up towards the sky the whole time, and then we try to draw as big of a circle as we can in this variation. You'll notice I'm trying to keep my fingers as extended as possible as well, and I am squeezing them together in here just to find a little bit of extra tension through the hand. But the biggest piece in terms of position is trying not to let our hands dish or kind of curl in, or hollow body for the gymnasts out there that I know. In that, we want to avoid that in this specific variation. After that, we move on to the hip car. So starting with external rotation, we sweep it across in front of us, pulling into external rotation. Then we go to neutral, pull it to our chest, out to the side, and then we internally rotate, and then we do the reverse. So press back, out, pull to your armpit, knee to chest, and then sweep out into external rotation. I'm going to do another one. So sweep across, pulling the foot up external, let that cave, go to normal. And then again here, this is just light, very light irradiation, nothing too crazy, so it's not too hard in the morning. This is just, again, focusing on moving. If we have to compensations and things like that, that's fine. It's not, the goal is movement. The goal is not to be super strict and really working on grinding out complete proper rotation at the joint at this level. The more strict you can be, the better. But again, a little bit of compensation in this, as it is kind of a morning ritual, is okay. We just want to get moving, get everything blood flowing, and trying to take care of our joints. All right, from there, I generally drop down to my butt on this, but you can do it standing as well. But I'm going to move on to my patella car. So in here, the leg, this is a really passive car. Your leg that you're working on for your kneecap, you need to have it fully straight and fully relaxed. You can't have any tension in it, otherwise the kneecap won't move. But what I'm doing here is I'm literally just pushing my kneecap in little circles, as the patella and the kneecap should move, and it should be loose. If it is really stuck, then that's just telling you there's an opportunity there to get that joint shifting more, as it's needed to have a healthy knee. All right, and then the next thing I move on to is a knee capsule car. So working on rotation is kind of the prime goal of most of these cars, is that we're trying to get rotation in internal, external, and then as well as taking our joint through its full ranges, depending on what joint that is. In this one, I'm looking at tibial rotation, so basically my shin bone. I'm actually looking to pull it into external rotation and rotate it into internal rotation. You'll see for me my internal rotation isn't a lot, but I have a fair bit of external rotation. That's where I'm at. And again, this is just light. One little tip on this is trying to think about hamstring curling. So your heel digging into the ground and actually getting your hamstring to light up a little bit will help with finding that rotation, as it's your hamstring that will produce it. Now from there, I go into ankle car. So after we just worked rotation at the knee, we now want to work rotation at the ankle. So we're going to pull into different ranges here. So as you'll see on this one, I'm going to pull into eversion, press my foot to plantar flexion, then we go into inversion, and then we go back. Inversion, plantar flex, eversion, pull up. Again, the goal of this is to try and build independence. So if you notice your shin bone rotating, then we're getting some compensation, and you can try to avoid it. I'm again watching to see for any of that compensation, as sometimes, I myself am guilty of it. I'm doing it. There, I just double checked. I felt my shin going. I was like, oh, I want to be a little more strict. In this variation, I'm pulling my toes up and just trying to keep them up in kind of extension. I'm not focusing on that side of it, and I'm not going to a fully plantar flex position for myself on this, and I generally don't in the morning routine. The last thing I go to, and kind of to finish off everything, is again in a seated position. You can do this standing or wherever's comfortable, but we're working on toe differentiation. So our toes, most people don't give our toes a little bit of love, and so in the morning every day I try to do that, where I will basically just flip-flop between picking up the little toes to picking up the big toe and trying to have them independent. And while doing this, for me personally, I try to think about also spreading my toes out as I lift up the little toes and the big toe, to train my feet to be a little bit healthier in those intrinsic muscles. So, and there you have it. That is my morning routine. I hope you enjoyed the video, and have fun moving, everyone. Thanks for watching.